Good morning, friends. Last three videos we were discussing about why to implement cost reduction in our enterprises. We saw that not implementing can be suicidal, and implementing is a must today for survival. I hope it was clear in those three videos why cost reduction was required. Now, we will see in this next videos where to implement cost reduction in the enterprise. You all know that enterprise has got a lot of activities in it, starting from the sales stage. Sales moves to marketing, PR, and then comes your order. So there are a lot of activities in the order stage, and finally it goes to the delivery. In all these areas, there is a lot of money involved, there is a lot of methods involved. So we need to know where to implement the cost reduction. Otherwise, we'll be searching in the dark. It will be like searching for something in a big haystack, searching for a needle. So in this next 2 or 3 sessions, we will see where to implement cost reduction plans in the enterprises. Now, before we start the session, I just like to know why we need to choose the area before implementing. You would say that why not implement all over the company? But you know the efforts required to implement cost reduction throughout the organization will be large. Also, not every area will give you the good yield. When you do something, you should get a good return for it. So first reason why we must choose the right area to implement is to get a good yield for our efforts. Imagine you spend 10 lakh rupees for a cost reduction effort, and the return is going to be only 50,000 or 1 lakh rupees. Then it is not a cost reduction project. It is actually adding cost to your projects. So you need to choose the right area where you can get good yield. Second thing is cost reduction. When you say the word, there is resistance from all the employees. Employees resist because they fear of downsizing. They fear that their behaviors need to be changed. They fear that their freedom and independence will be questioned, or they will be overburdened. So these are reasons why there is a resistance. Now you will have to select the area where you can get good yield. Cost reduction. Imagine you implement cost reduction and then the next day there goes a strike in the organization because you implemented cost reduction. All your efforts go waste. So instead of that, find the right area. So less resistance from the employees. That is the area where you should implement cost reduction. Third one, cost reduction. It's like the enterprise itself. Your product may be successful, may not be successful. Your quality can be good, may not be good when you start the company. There is an element of risk in cost reduction. It can affect the product, it may not affect the product. So you should choose the area where it is easy to revert back. It's easy to revert back, and if something goes wrong, it's easier for you to control the whole process and get back to the older system or look for a new system. So it should be an area where it's easy to revert back. And the fourth one, it should be as far away from the customer. Because the moment you say that your company is implementing cost reduction, two things happen. One is customer will ask for a discount. Second thing is customer will say that you are in deep financial trouble, that is why you are starting cost reduction. Also, a customer will get a negative feedback about your company from the market. So to avoid that, we always suggest that you should be as far away from the customer as possible. So now we know that what are the 4 reasons why we need to choose the right area. All those who have done civil engineering will know that the first lesson you learn in civil engineering is the selection of site is important. And there's a lot of reasons why you need to select the right site. Same thing happens with cost reduction also. Selection of the right area is very, very important for the success you achieve. Okay. Now, just to emphasize my point, I'll go to one small video here. I think you will enjoy this. Amazing, amazing. That's what you see. You see the the coconut which was horizontal lying on his palm, and as he was walking across this vast field, you see the background, it is a barren land. At some point, it became vertical. All you are who are experienced or who have seen the site selection for locating a well, people in different parts of the world use different technologies or different methodologies to locate the place where the water is. Not all this area in this barren land is having abundant water. In some places, there is an reservoir of water below, and at that point, this coconut will stand like this vertical. I have seen in some other parts people using a Y-shaped object between their palm, and when they walk across, and when the area comes where there is water beneath, this Y-shaped object will start rotating on its own. I don't have an example model to show. You just hold it in a palm. It's like something like a Y shape. It may be a small stick taken from a branch taken from a small tree. But the moment you see that water is there below, the stick starts rotating. The Y-shaped stick starts rotating. Similarly, like this coconut. What this shows is that in this big barren land, there is some area where there is abundance of water. And if you dig your well there, you will find that you will get water at a lesser depth. Okay, you need not go 200 feet, 300 feet, or 50 feet. Maybe you will find water at 20 feet. So this is the reason why they use this technology to locate the availability of water in the area. Similarly, when you go for the cost reduction in an enterprise, you should be able to locate the right area. Now, what is our indication that there is some scope for cost reduction in an area? Let's see objectively, not subjectively. All our discussions will be based on objective findings only, not on subjective reasoning. What is the basis we have to estimate that an area will be a good productive area? Different enterprises will have different costing structures and all, but as a basis, I would go back to this graph given by the great Peter Drucker, the management guru from the US. Way back in 1963, he had published an article in HBR, Harvard Business Review. This is way back in 1963, and as you see the chart here, he is showing where does the customer's $1 go. Okay, so if you take $1 spent by a customer, he is analyzing into, or he is dividing the dollar into so many areas where that money is going, that $1 is going. Okay, so this is a very good analysis by Peter Drucker. If you see here, you will find the major area, the major pie, part of the pie is with the material. Here it is 25% of the dollar goes for purchasing of material and supplies. So a major portion of your dollar goes for purchasing raw material and supplies. Then comes another area, or this area from which is called the physical movement of materials and goods from the supplier to your factory inside the factory and from the factory to the distributor or wholesaler. This is a whopping 23%. 25% goes to raw material and 23% goes to movement of goods inside the for the manufacturing. 8% is to get the material from the supplier to your factory. Another 8% from the inside the factory, moving between machines, between warehouses, between areas, you spend another 8%. And another 7% you spend to dispatch the material from your factory to the customer. So this is the 7%. So now you see 25 plus 23, almost 48 cents is gone. Then the third major area is your manufacturing. You see here, you have manufacturing, 9% is the manufacturing cost. Now this is the conversion of your raw material into saleable products, for which you are spending about 9%. Next is the cost of money in the business. You need money to buy material, you need money to pay salaries, you need money to pay your rent, you need money to maintain your machines. After all these things, you make the product and launch it in the market, you get revenues. So 13% of $1 goes to financing the finance or managing the finance. So this includes your EMIs, this includes your interest paid, this includes your loan repayments. Altogether comes your 13%. Sales and promotional is about 8% of the total cost. Management, administration, record keeping is another 10%. R&D goes to another 2%. And profits before tax is about 10%. So this is what Peter Drucker analyzed way back in 1963. And in my tenure as a factory manager, I observed that more or less this was valid even in 2010, 2011. It was almost the same. Major chunk of your money goes into buying material. Then it goes into movement of goods, because when you say material cost, it includes a landed cost in your factory. So if you see the landed cost, it becomes 33%, 25 plus 8. Plus you have another 7% or 8% for movement inside the factory. So it becomes 41. So material cost is a major cost. Then comes your cost of money in the business. Then comes your admin, sales, and your profit before tax. So I've just analyzed it in this format. The pie chart, I just put it in a chart form. Raw material is 25%, or the landed cost 33. Transportation is 23%. Manufacturing is 9%. R&D is 2%. So all these activities which go into producing a product, you can call it as your operational level. And here it's about 59% of your dollar is spent here in the operational level. Sales and marketing, finance, management, and HR, you have another 31% going into these three functions. And profit before tax is 10%. So grand total is 100%. Okay, so you see, when even today, if you take a product of 1,000 rupees in the market, and if you analyze how it will be costed, you will find it more or less the same. Now, this is material, transportation, manufacturing, the operational level activities. Operational level activities is almost 60% here. In some some product, the raw material may be more than 50%. For example, if you are taking a steel tower where I worked, where I was involved in, the steel and the galvanizing cost would be about 60% of the total price. So your manufacturing is only about 9 to 10%. Okay, and what is the cost, major cost in manufacturing? It includes your manpower. You would have observed in this, there is no manpower cost involved. Manpower cost is not involved because it is basically manufacturing cost is manpower cost. Sales and marketing cost is also manpower cost. Okay, finance cost also, you have manpower cost there. Okay, so this is how your $1 was analyzed and shown as how it is spent. The same thing applies today. Maybe it varies from industry to industry. Maybe software industry, you don't have much raw material, but you will have a lot of transportation. You will have a lot of sales and marketing. You will have a lot of management and HR cost. Training will be there. Okay. If you go for a trading organization, you will not have manufacturing. Inside movement will not, manufacturing will not be there, but you will have raw material and transportation, where the raw material to you is a finished product. And when it comes to sales and marketing, your percentage will be much higher because you will have a showroom to show your products. Plus, you have electricity, finance, publicity, all those things. Now,